Hi everybody. Can you tell where I am? If you're from Eau Claire, I'm sure you can. So I am at the Pablo, the Confluence, Phoenix Park. What do they call it? The Pablo Center. And I sat here last night. And it was about 30 degrees, well, 20 degrees, 25 degrees warmer than it is now. I thought, what a nice place. I'll have to come here in the night when they light up these fountains. Just sit here and stare at these all night. So you find them a pleasant distraction? That's good. We need pleasant distractions in our life. Anyway, so it's a little bit cooler, so I got a jersey on. It's football season. How come I'm not wearing a Packer jersey? I don't know. Let's see. What is this? It's a Seahawks jersey. Don't tell you. You know why I'm wearing it? Because you see that? You see that? It says Craig on the back. And it's not because I said put Craig on the back. This is an official jersey of Dave Craig, number 17, in the 80s and 90s, starting quarterback. I just spent the last 5 minutes at church trying to convince two sets of parents of sophomores that I'm his second cousin. So anyway, so a lot of you, if you're NFL fans from a ways back, you would have heard of Dave Craig. It's a little windy today, but we have small hands. I showed people a picture of him. I said, oh, don't I look like an NFL quarterback? Why is that so shocking? And but he had small hands. He held the record. He had a lot of touchdown passes. Steve Largent and was his big TD receiver. But he also, I think he led the NFL in fumbles. And I think it's because he had those small Craig hands. We don't have really big hands. So he, grabbing that football and it get knocked, it fumble easily. So anyway, there's great things about being a Craig, and there's some hard things too with small hands. Hope it's not too windy. Anyway, so that's why I got this jersey on. It's a little cold. It's just the right temperature. I thought it'd be a fun little story to tell that I'm related to. It's not going to get me into heaven or anything. In fact, my dad was hoping it would get him into the football game. What did they call it? The Kingdome. It's called something else now, but when I lived in Seattle, it was fun because everybody pronounced my name correctly, Craig instead of Krieg, because he was famous. And my dad came out, and he thought just because he was Dave's uncle, once removed, that he could get free tickets. And so he went up to the ticket on game day. He went to the ticket office all charged up, and he came walking back disappointed. Wasn't enough just to have the name, I guess. So same thing in heaven. You can't always just get in places because you know somebody. It's based on our own. It's like the parable of the maidens with the oil, right? The 5 maidens had oil, and the other ones, their oil was empty. And so when the bridegroom came, the 5 without it said, "Give us some of your oil," and they said no, which sounds stingy of them. And we're supposed to be giving and sharing, but maybe the point of the parable is there's some things we can't share. I can't just say, because I got this name, I get to heaven, right? Because I got this name, I've had a good life. It's what we do. It's the character, the choices we make, the love in our hearts, right? So anyway, that was kind of a fun way to start with my connection there. He went to D.C. Evers High School, and I met him twice. I can't say I know him. I played high school basketball against his brother. We were the same age when D.C. Evers played Newman. That was kind of fun. Hey, get this out of the way before I forget. You know what these are? These are slippers. You know what this means, right? It means we're going to order more goods from Bethlehem to help out the Christian merchants over there. And people with intellectual disabilities who live in the city of Jesus' birth. They make the felted wool. They kind of prepare that, and then more skilled people sew it together and make it into these slippers. Just one of the many things we'll have, but this is the one thing you got to order in advance. Because I actually ordered these last year. If anybody has size 44, I'll give you a very good price. I don't know why I ordered 44, because I'm a 43. So I think I'll order 43s this year. But if you want some of these, honestly, some people ordered them and they think they're the greatest thing. Some people ordered them and they didn't fit right, or their foot, I don't know. So it's a flat sole. It's not like a real arch supportive sole. But like Jackie puts them on at night, she says they're just so warm, really warm her feet up, and she has cold feet, I guess. So it's really nice for her. So some people just, and Andy, I don't know if you're still watching this chat, but you ordered a pair last year, he loves them. So, okay, you just gotta let me know, because we're probably gonna make the order next week. Okay, and then in November we'll sell them for people have as Christmas gifts. Not just these, nativity sets, wool crafts, lots of good stuff, and it goes to very, very good cause. Okay, got a bunch of parish news now that I gibble gobbled about all that. I saw the Pope's Exorcist today. That's why I'm doing this at night. Usually I do the chat in the day and then I'll have free time at night. Today I decided to use the free time in the afternoon to watch the Pope's Exorcist, and I'm doing this tonight. So, but parish news. Yeah, I hope the wind is okay. If I do this whole talk and then you can't hear it, that'd be disappointing, right? It's a nice scene though, isn't it? All that water. Usually there's more. Maybe in a little while they'll really. Usually like 6 fountains going up in the air. It just looks like we have 2 active right now. But anyway, so Danielle, our new principal, so we came to our staff meeting today, and she was just so grateful for the parish response. She reported the teachers are just so thrilled that they got so many donations to their classrooms. So our teachers at St. James made a elementary school, part of Regis Catholic Schools, made a wish list, and people bought gift cards and some cash gifts. They were able to collect $665 for the teachers. I don't know if you know, but teachers everywhere, probably not just Catholic school teachers, but they might get a little allowance to buy things to decorate their room with or things like that, but they usually end up, already they got a low salary, and then they end up having to pay out of pocket for a lot of things. So maybe this year they won't have to pay out of pocket. They can have more of that income to keep. So I hope so. Anyway, just great response from our parish the last couple weeks for that. So thank you on behalf of all of our teachers. We're down a guidance counselor. Sadly, our guidance counselor we had last year took rather ill and had to resign. And so if you know anybody, those sort of qualifications, that could be a guidance counselor for elementary age. People are kind of chipping in and doing what they can to make ends meet, but it'd be nice to have one. So put the word out. Did our first school mass today, and we finished. Heather led the band, led all the children singing, "Hallelujah, love is alive, and defeated the night. Hallelujah, God has arisen for all. Your people sing Hallelujah." Anyway, it was great to hear the kids singing again. And our servers, Evan and Michael, did a great job serving at the altar. They didn't miss a beat over the summer, so that's good. What did we talk about today? We talked about Jesus healing his mother-in-law, and how people might need help in school. I'm glad when they're sent to that. I hope it translates into real life, but I'll say, where do people need help in school? Your classmates. When do they need help? And it's like, well, if you see someone and they're on by themselves and they're not playing with other people, you can ask them to join you. What a lesson for life that is. I hope they're living that out. It's good stuff. Anyway, it's good to have those school masses start again. They're always Wednesday at 9 o'clock if you want to come and lift your spirits with them. This Sunday will be Catechetical Sunday, so all of our catechists, our school teachers included, as well as our religious education volunteers will have a blessing for them at the end of Mass, so that'll be good. We'll have a healing Mass, coming attraction. It's a month away yet, but on October 11th, a Wednesday, we'll have a Mass with anointing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's coming. And if you're over, I think, 75 years old, you get a personal invitation from me in the mail. But everybody's welcome. People, if you're younger than 75, you may have that need for healing in your life as well. And you are most welcome. You just probably won't get a special letter. But hopefully you'll hear about it in the bulletin and whatnot. But you heard it now. Women's retreat coming up, and it's going to keep putting that bug in your ear. They had a Zoom meeting. Our organizers, along with Pam from Birchwood, is going to be the presenter. So more on that. We'll get some PR and advertising out on that. I think they probably focused in on a topic or a title for the retreat today. Adult ministers. Okay, so especially for, like we say, we need adult ministers. Well, we do. We don't really need them for the 4:30 Mass, because we have a lot of people that want to go to that Mass who want to be adult ministers. But where we're lacking right now is the 10 o'clock Mass on Sunday morning. We don't have many to draw from for our pool to schedule as our adult ministers. Adult ministers have a good role. It's not just the during Mass serving at the altar, but they set up, they get the hosts out, the wine out. They get everything set up. They help the youth servers get ready and all that. Make sure the candles are lit, all that stuff. So they're like a sacristan / acolyte. It's a really important role. I rely on it a lot. Christine, if it's no one's schedule, I think Christine ends up doing it. She's got a lot to do on Sundays anyway. So if you ever think about doing that, let us know. It'd be great. I got a response last week. I said we could use video streamers to help live stream our Saturday Mass, and one gentleman, Patrick, he said, I think I could do that. I think I do that. So hope he follows through and that happens. That'll be good. And any more. One is great. 2 would be better. 3 would be even better. That was funny the other day. Anne she keeps all her sacramental records very fastidiously, very accurately, would be a more positive way to say it. And it's an important job that I wouldn't be very good at. And so I'm glad she's good. But I thought I saw our father of one of the baptized last week was Mickey Cott. And I thought I saw in our database that it was M-I-C-K-E-Y. And then the baptism certificate said M-I-C-K-Y. And so I said, I think you spelled it wrong on the baptismal certificate. So you might want to make a new one. Send a little note to her. And I loved her response. It was like, good catch. I'm glad you're looking out for that. If I were wrong, that would have been a great catch, so I could correct it. But everywhere I look, there's no E. It's M-I-C-K-Y. So I almost caught Anne making a mistake, but my mistake to think she made a mistake. That's kind of funny. Anyway, I like the way she put it. Good catch, if you were right. I read an article in American Magazine about hope. I don't have it all in my head, but the one thing she was saying was by an article by a person. She said, sometimes I feel a little bit like I'm not getting hope. Like I know we're supposed to be a hopeful people, but I'm not always that positive in my mood. Sometimes I feel a little down, I'm a little thoughtful. I'm not always necessarily feeling good or happy. And so when I read about hope a lot, I feel like I'm not getting it right. I'm not being very faithful, because you should have faith, hope, and love. Oh, now they're all firing up, aren't they? Look at those. Holy smokes. They're going all over the place. Wow. So I have hope. I should get out of there so you can kind of see this, but I don't want to block the bridge. It's just one. Look at that. Who wants to see the priest? I think I'm going to go way over here. All right, how's that? Let's go. All right. Wow. Anyway, so hope. And she said, I shared this with Christina. She said, yeah, that's kind of the way I looked at it already anyway. So she was already in the know. Anyway, the author, in case this is helpful for anybody, she said, I don't always feel like good in the moment, but I've re-envisioned what hope means. It doesn't necessarily have to light my heart now, that hopeful means being good feeling. But it just means I have the conviction and the trust that all things will pass that are negative, that Christ will rise, that we will rise with him. That whatever the challenging situation is, whether it's our emotional state or some state in the world, existence, social problems, I have hope, and I work for the good. And the hope is that I believe, that I trust that God and love will prevail someday. Maybe not even in my lifetime. But that's hope. Oh, now people are showing up because the lights are. Did I hear a dog? Yeah, see if the dog plays in the water. That'll be good. Anyway, so hope doesn't mean you have to feel good. It's a decision to have confidence in the future, I guess. Maybe beyond our lifetimes even. So, which is really, so central to me, the whole Paschal mystery, that life is dying and rising. And when things aren't going well, we're entering the passion of Christ, the death of Christ, and waiting for the Father to raise us as he raised Christ from the dead. That's just so central to me as far as what it is to be a Christian, our attitude, our spirituality. So, so I watched the Pope's Exorcist today. I got it recommended to me. It was good. I thought it was good. It's a horror movie. There's a few scenes you wouldn't want your children watching. But I liked it for one. The priest was a good guy, and he was a mature guy, and it's nice once in a while when the priest is the hero and not the butt of jokes. Gosh, I watch so many comedy things that I like until they hit the priest jokes, and it's like, huh. But, so just a real strong person who could look evil in the face and not flinch, or if he flinched, he'd come back with courage. So it was a little less fantastic, I think, than or maybe not. It was a little bit like the Da Vinci Code or Indiana Jones, had that little bit of feel to it at times. It was based on a real guy. What was his name? Amorth? You could Google the priest. He was the exorcist in the Diocese of Rome, so the Pope's exorcist, from 86 to 2016. And he had a good sense of humor, and he had some books. So it's based on a real person. The whole story, I wouldn't say is a true story as it happened, but someone who was familiar with his career put it down. So one of the things about this guy is he had quite a sense of humor, and he was Russell Crowe played him, but he would greet, even like if he was on his little moped in Rome, he'd go by a group of nuns and he'd go, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. But that's also what he did when he would have, and they'd smile and laugh at him. That's also what he would do if someone, well, first of all, he said 98% of the cases he was called into, because people thought maybe someone was possessed by a demon. He said 98% of them, they needed a psychiatrist, not an exorcist. He would still try to work with them and bless them and pray with them, but it wasn't the case. And he said about 2% I really couldn't explain with science, and that was more of, then I would do those rites of exorcism. I'm sure he has many, many stories, which he's written books, so. But he said even then, even in these really ones where he felt like he was coming face to face with a demon, the devil, he'd go, cuckoo, cuckoo. He said, the devil hates joking. The devil hates jokes. So that sense of humor. And what I really liked about it was, and I feel like this, I've never been confronted with such a thing that I thought was like a possession or something. People have called me over the years that feel their house has evil spirit in it or something, and I go and I bless and we pray together and I take it seriously. But I always say, one of the core things about Christian faith is that Jesus Christ, the power of Christ, defeated the devil. So what this guy would say, the devil hates two things. He wants to make you fearful. He wants to bring chaos to your life. He hates the name of Jesus. He hates prayers. He hates an image of Jesus, hates an image of Mary, and he hates jokes. He hates humor. He doesn't want to be mocked. He wants to instill fear. So if he confronts you and you're not afraid, that's very frustrating. So anyway, I like seeing that. I like seeing a great piety and reverence in someone that also had a really clever, witty sense of humor. Because that's it. Pope Francis has been big on that Christians should be marked with a joyful spirit. I wasn't named in this article, but I think maybe it was talking about me. Last Catholic Life, they profiled all the priests and the new priests that were recently ordained, and one of them who grew up where I was pastor said that he was influenced by how joyful his childhood priest was. So I think I was his childhood priest, so he's probably talking about me. Maybe I'm taking too much credit, but that's good. I'm glad. Some of us struggle with mood, and I don't mean always be smiley, always be happy. I think my faith makes me more prone to smile in the world. I think my sense of trust, that hope I was talking about, I don't know. I've also had a fairly easy life, so that's probably part of it too. hasn't had a lot of pain or trauma to weigh me down. And I hope more and more to be compassionate toward that, because it's a part of so many people's lives. So I hope they have hope. Know that God's love will win in the end. Yeah, not always easy to believe, is it? So, what else was I going to say about that? I wrote a few things down. A little bit. Devil doesn't like jokes. He wants us to be fearful. He thumbed his nose at demons each time. It's good to see a priest as a hero. I guess I said everything. So it's on Netflix. It's adult. It's kind of horror. It's kind of scary. If you watch it in a big movie theater, the big screen, it'd probably be scarier than if I watched it on a little iPad. So buffered the horror aspect of it, I guess. So again, I keep hearing people that watched. Do I have it? Oh, I wrote it on something else. The movie about human trafficking and how hard it is to watch, but how important it is just to see the difficulty of people bought and sold and abused so badly just to survive in the world. And there's been a tradition at St. James of supporting efforts against human trafficking, the Fierce Freedom. I remember when I first came, Emma Barnett, she must have been 90 years old, and she was out walking 5 kilometers to raise money for Fierce Freedom. She's still with us. She's going to turn 100 on December 29th. Very close, give or take a day. I think it's December 29th. Because I don't think it's 27th, because that'd be the Feast of John the Evangelist. I don't think it's 28th, it's Holy Innocents. I think it's 29th. So like a big party. Father Schultz is coming already and committed. And so anyway, I'm straying from the subject a little bit there. Yeah, but some movies aren't fun to watch, but they make you aware of what's going on in the world, and how we need to pray for that and be sensitive to that. We're all connected. I love St. Paul's analogy. We're all one body, and if one part of the body's hurting, the whole body hurts. And that's the way it should be with our compassion. And yet at the same time, we have hope. We have reason to smile with a positive attitude, trusting in God. Holding both of those things in tension, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, I just read a little bit more on my Martin. I want to stay accountable about my Martin Luther King book. So I didn't get too far into his life yet, but his father was Michael King. And you're thinking, wasn't it Martin Luther King Sr.? Well, it was Michael King forever. Not forever, but as a young man and into adulthood, this is new source material because he had an autobiography that was never published. He witnessed his father physically abusing his mother, and he challenged him, and I think he fought back against him. So a lot of this is in King's background. Last week I talked about his grandmother, right, that charged in that guy and flattened him after he kicked Martin's father in the face. And, so a lot of courage. Martin Luther King Jr. would, adopt nonviolence, not that fighting back. But anyway, I think he slugged his dad back or something, and then when he was 14, he left home. And he got some coal digging jobs, shoveling coal into people's homes for heat, that kind of stuff. And then he decided, part of his survival mechanism or his resource for surviving when he left home at 14 was faith. And so even though he was doing those just physically burdensome jobs like shoveling coal, he knew he wanted to be a preacher. So he went to seminary. They weren't going to accept him. He finally kind of charmed his way in. That's fun, seeing the kids dance in the water. Look at that. And anyway, kind of charmed his way in, and then kind of the dean or one of the big guys at the seminary let him in. He failed courses, but he just kept persevering until he got through it. And then he married one of the big pastor's daughters, and he sort of became heir apparent because this guy was the pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. And then King's father became the pastor there, and then Martin Luther King Jr. became his pastor. But anyway, so it was Michael King, and Martin was born, the famous one. And then so all his life he was like Little Mike. That's what they called him around the house, Little Mike, Martin Luther King Jr. And then at some point, his dad wrote on the census, like right when, like a year after Martin Luther King Jr. was born, that their name was Marvin. His name was Marvin King, not Michael King. He just changed it. And then when Martin Luther King Jr. was about 5, his dad went over to Germany, and he was really impressed by the story of Martin Luther, the Protestant reformer of the 1500s, and his courage and how he hammered those 95 theses. You know, from a Catholic's perspective, you know, we kind of wish we all stayed in the fold. So, but if you're just looking for someone who stood for reform and change out of conviction, you know, Martin Luther was certainly that. And Martin Luther King Sr. saw that when he was Michael King or Marvin King, you know, and he adopted it. He said, so then he started being ML King in all his worship programs. He was known as ML King. And eventually it morphed into Martin Luther King. So they have that history of trying to break free of violence, standing up for the victims of violence, and being reformers, you know. So I thought it was kind of interesting. So I'll keep trying to find little tidbits about the life of Martin Luther King Jr. as I plow my way through that thick book. Okay, hey, it's nice chatting. I hope you kind of enjoy this environment. I'll just sit back a little bit. Maybe you can see the kids laugh and dance in the water for a few minutes. God bless you, everybody.